let's get to the Lions running backs. We have David Montgomery. We'll start with him. A rib injury, and all I keep saying is he's going to miss some time. So what the hell does that all mean?
It's a rib cartilage injury. So that's kind of the cartilage is some of the tissue between the rib and the sternum where it all comes together. This is basically the same injury that Alvin Kamara and Justin Herbert had last season. Kamara, of course, will be the better comp, being that he's the same position. Kamara missed one game last year. One of the things we need to consider here is the pec major muscle, which is the big, strong bench press muscle. It's also the muscle that really helps secure the ball when running backs carrying the ball to prevent them from fumbling. That attaches right next to where this rib cartilage is. And when you're holding a football, preventing a guy from ripping it out, that muscle is contracting really, really hard, which is then pulling really, really hard right about where that rib cartilage is. So to me, that's the big thing that could be a problem with a running back here is their ability to hold on to the ball, at least on the side and the arm that the injury is on. He's not going to play this week. It's not looking like. I don't expect this to be a tremendously long absence. Like I said, Kamara missed one game last year, but I would expect, especially on a team that has good other running backs, I would expect them to reduce Montgomery's snap load for a little bit while he continues to heal from this. This usually takes somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks for it to fully resolve. But of course, a bad hit could flare it up again. So I think they will try to protect him to some degree whenever it is that he does come back. But looks like he's not playing this week. I wouldn't expect a tremendously lengthy absence, though.
Okay, just looking at their schedule, I mean, based off what you're saying, I see him back week 10. They get the Ravens this week, Raiders in week 8, and then they have that week 9 bye. What the heck do I know about injuries? But I could see them just holding him out the 2 weeks and into the bye. So what about his backup, which I thought would be the starter and who I thought would be dominating the NFL at this point? But we've had some hiccups here for Jahmyr Gibbs. Hamstring injury. He was a DNP weeks 5 and 6. Can we please see him back in week 7?
I hope so. He was limited in practice today, which is Wednesday that we're recording this, as he returns from this hamstring injury. And remember, running backs miss about 2.2 games. He's missed 2, so he's really right on track to come back and play this week. And typically we don't actually see any drop-off in fantasy production in running backs as they return from hamstring injuries. But, and I think we talked about this last week, Gibbs actually profiles as the type that may see a little hit on his fantasy production because he's a speed guy and he's a pass catcher. And the load on the hamstring increases dramatically at that top end speed. So someone like Gibbs, who's out in space a lot, has a lot more room to run, has the ability to get up to top speed, where one, his top speed might be not as fast as it usually is as he continues to recover, but also that's where it would be more likely to have a re-injury occur. So I do think you can start Gibbs since Montgomery will be out if he plays this week. But I don't know that you're going to get a gigantic game out of him.
Okay, so well said again. And I said the same thing last week where he hasn't, yes, he's missed 5 and 6, weeks 5 and 6. He hasn't crushed you, though, right? He hasn't been the Jahmyr Gibbs that we'd hope for, 18, 20, whatever points going off. But he's been, I forget the numbers, but he's been pretty consistently 8, 9, 10 points. Now, this week, the Lions do have a pretty stiff test. They play the Ravens, who have been excellent defensively. I think if Gibbs can go, you play him. It might not be a full increased workload. And Tom, you keep alluding to the fact that it's going to hurt him, his top end speed, because he is a speedster. So that does worry me, but I think I'm just playing him on spite, because if I drafted Gibbs, I took him in the 3rd round. I just want to get him out there. I want to see what he could do. And I'm not trying to have him be burned on my bench. But if Gibbs cannot go, I think Craig Reynolds, Tom, becomes a must start just because of his, I'm not saying he's amazing, but his role, his usage. Unfortunately, last week he was 10 for 15, 10 carries for 15 yards. Not great, not ideal. But
Here's the thing with Reynolds. This was a recent notification. He actually is dealing with a hamstring and a toe injury himself.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah.
Are you
So
serious? When did that come across?
it was like it was after you already sent all the show notes. So it
Which
was
was
very,
like an hour ago. Oh
yeah,
my God.
it was pretty recent. So we'll have to monitor that. But did you see his block the other day?
I did not. No, he
Oh
just lit someone up.
my good. He was whoever had the ball. Reynolds was like 10, 15 yards behind them, and you just see him sprint in front of the guy on his team with the ball, absolutely pancake someone, and then his guy goes. It was St. Brown, and then St. Brown just has an easy path to the end zone.
Awesome. I absolutely love to see that. Um, so now I'm confused because I'm just scrambling, Tom, and I'm looking at the Lions depth chart. You got Montgomery not playing. Gibbs, what if he doesn't play? Craig Reynolds, what if he doesn't play? Their fourth one is Zonovan Knight, who is still on IR. What? What is going to happen?
That is a great question.
I can't. I mean, I'm sure they have people, of course, on their practice squad, or worst case, they'll call someone up who's 28 years old that's just
Leonard Fournette.
dying to get on a football team for a couple of weeks. But like, I can't. I'm on my fourth website, and I don't see a running back that's not hurt. So this is going to be an interesting story to follow up. Hopefully, Gibbs does play. What'd you say, Tom, earlier? You think Gibbs probably will play?
He was limited today, so that's a good sign for him to be able to play.
Okay.
And I don't know how severe Reynolds' injury is either. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of information on it yet, but we'll definitely be monitoring throughout the week.
All right. Sounds good.